Hello and welcome to this pit stop for Carpe Diem, a game designed by Stefan Feld, published by Alea and Ravensburger. In Carpe Diem, each of the players is a patrician in early imperial Rome, and they're looking to develop their own little district in order to score the most points over 4 rounds. It's a tile selection and placement game, and the central tile mechanism is that a player starts in one of these areas, and there are 2 lines branching from there, and they will move across those lines, take one of the tiles, add it onto their own board, and then each other player will take a turn doing so, and we'll go round and round until there are as many tiles taken from the board as there are players in the game. So in a 4-player game, it would be empty. A 3-player game, when there's 1 left, it gets discarded, and so forth. So when you take these tiles, what happens? If we move here and take this chicken coop, whenever you're placing a tile onto your area, it must connect to another tile on the side, and it must make sense. So we couldn't place this here because this chicken coop doesn't attach to this bakery, but it does attach here, and all the sides make sense like that. And when you complete areas like this, which are resource areas, you're going to get a number of resources. And there are basic ones in the game. In this case, it's chickens. I've got 3 tiles in here, so I get -1. I'm going to be able to collect 2 chickens and keep those for myself. There are 4 different types of resources you can see across the top, and there are resource buildings which represent each of those. In this case, I've completed a vineyard, and that gets me 1 grape, but I've also covered one of these, what they call banderole areas. Whenever you cover one of those areas, you move yourself up 1 on the banderole track, and that's going to score you points at the end of the game. But very, very importantly, at the end of each of the rounds and the tiles are gone, we're going to choose how we score for this round. It's the banderole track which decides in what order we choose that. So as well as these resource production areas, you also have buildings where you're going to put craftsmen in. So for example, in this case, I'm going to take this administration building and complete it. And that does exactly what we were just discussing there. It moves you up on the banderole track. And whenever you complete administration building, you just move up 2 like that. There are other ones. For this one over here, I can add on to this merchant. Again, I'd move up on the banderole track for doing that. And whenever that you go to a merchant, you take all the goods you have, you hand them back in, and you take a number of coins +1 for that. And we start looking at end round scoring. You'll see why that is a clever thing to have done. We can also go along and complete this bakers, and that's going to allow us to earn 2 bread. And bread allows us to do a couple of different things as well. And the last type of merchants we can complete is the craftsman. And there are a selection of tiles down the bottom here which are laid out. And whenever you complete one of these dark green buildings, these craftsmen, again, would move up on the banderole track there, you get to choose one of these from down here. So for example, I could just take this villa tile and fill it in, and that would not count as moving around in one of my turns and complete my villa. Or, as well as all those sort of buildings where you have to complete and match them together, there are 3 different types of one-off buildings you can build. For example, this marketplace here, whenever I place that, that's just going to earn me 1 coin. Or I can take this fountain and again place it somewhere that it makes sense. And that gives me access to endgame scoring cards. I draw 2 and keep 1. And they're always going to score me points for having completed a certain type of building during the course of the game. You don't just get those from down there. You can also, on your move, take them if they're available around the board. So this one here, that is an oven. And again, that's going to give me access to 1 bread. So what does bread do? Well, for the cost of 1 bread, instead of moving on these 2 lines, I can go wherever I like and then take one of those tiles and start building from there. Like I said, once all the tiles have been taken, and that's all the different things you can build, you're then going to get to the end of round scoring. And in player order on the banderole track, you're going to place a disc between 2 of these scoring cards, and there are loads of these cards, and it comes all mixed up. And they are slightly seeded to make sure that they're a decent mix. But you're going to put your disc down, you can choose one of them and say, right, I wish to score for this. So in this case, perhaps I put my disc here. And that tells me that if I've built any pair of merchants and bakers, I'm going to score 7 points, and I'll take the point cards. And for every 3 chimneys I have in my village, they don't have to be completed at this stage, I'm going to earn a coin and a bread. I could go up here, and that requires me to pay in resources. Now, in this case, I'd need this particular section of 3 and this particular section of 2, and I don't have them. But the reason why we're trading in for coins and getting coins is that each coin counts as a wild good. So I could hand these 5 in, score my 9 points. Why bread is also good, as well as allowing you to move around, is that for 3 bread, whenever you go anywhere on that scoring area, you can say, I have done that. Whether it's goods or it's having built a particular type of building, you just say, here's my 3 bread, bread, and that counts as scoring. And that might be vital because, at least early on anyway, you might be forced to go somewhere where you can't score one or either of the cards. And if you can't do that, you're going to lose 4 points. Once we've done this for 4 rounds, we're going to see how many points we've accrued, and then there's some end game scoring. There's a little bit for any goods you have, you divide it by 2 and you score that number of points. Again, the banderole track, wherever you are, you score that number of points. Your fountain cards, you're going to score those. You're also going to score for chimneys in completed villas, and there's a little track down here, and the more you have in a completed villa, the more points you'll score. And the final bit of endgame scoring is called your frame scoring. Now these are modular, they come in 4 bits, and you mix these around and deal them out. And they point to a particular type of structure and a line on your board, and they want you to have completed a structure that straddles that line to score that number of points. In this case, I haven't done this oven. It's not going to cost me a penalty, but I just won't score those bonuses. But for example, this one down here wants me to have a chicken coop along this line, which I've done, so that's 5 bonus points. And this one wants me to have an administration building along this line, which I've done, which scores me 4 points. Once I've added the frame buildings points to all the other points I've accrued, whoever has scored the most points is going to be the winner of Carpe Diem. This has been a Game Pit Pit Stop. For more videos like this, check out our YouTube channel, or for more in-depth coverage of gaming, please check out the Game Pit podcast. Thank you.